How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Pastors Unfiltered. I'm your host, Pastor Tony Matar, joined by my lovely co-host, the Reverend Dr. Brandon Lee Beals. How are you today?
I'm good. Do you want to hear what my mom thought about me telling you that she said you were the voice of reason?
I would love to hear it.
First thing she says is, well, you told Tony that I said he was the voice of reason on the episode when he wasn't a voice of reason.
Is this about the Kate stuff?
Yeah, she was very disappointed in you about that.
I don't blame her. I was disappointed in me. So was the rest of America and TMZ. Are you following all the Diddy stuff right now?
Oh, no. What am I missing there?
Oh, my goodness. The largest conspiracy of our time, larger than Epstein, larger than... Oh, no, I don't know if it's larger than Epstein. No. Not larger than Epstein, but massive. You not following any of this?
I told you the only thing I do is I read the Bible, I pray, I listen to worship music and podcasts on the Bible.
Sean King is going to fact check that. Well, I'm glad you guys are here today. We have an exciting episode.
You got to tell me, what is it?
What? Everything that he's been working for the government, that he has been part of human trafficking and prostitution and all. And you can't find him right now, that he's left. But all of this has been...
You're claiming that another celebrity has disappeared?
But now there's videos of him appearing in Miami. The Caribbeans. But that he's been working for the government this whole time. There's a video of him and Justin Bieber, and when he saw Justin Bieber, he was checking Justin for a wire. Can you believe this? Have we become conspiracy theorists on this podcast?
Well, because I don't apparently keep up on current events, I never know what you're talking about.
What are you talking about? You know current events. Like, you and my wife, this is what you guys bond over. I read my Bible.
I didn't know the royal family was missing. I didn't know P. Diddy had an issue.
Just a Diddy, no more P.
Oh, okay. I didn't know there was no more P.
See, yeah.
P. Diddy. Hey, a lobby moment. I'm going to include my amazing mother in this one, too. My mom says that she is suggesting we re-record the opener because when I share my titles, which is basically I was quoting you whenever you share it, she says, but Reverend and Pastor are the same thing.
It is a bit redundant.
Well, she made it very clear that it's redundant. I want to tell a couple stories about Easter that were just awesome. And then we want to hear about your Easter in Seattle.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
But my lobby moment was, I want to first off thank all the volunteers at Venture. I want to thank my team. Easter week was unbelievable. Our attendance overall for the entire week was about 7,000. So we had about 1,500 people that participated online. So in person was about 5,500 people. We had about 250 people make decisions to follow Jesus that we know of. There might have been many more. But we just had so many amazing conversations in the lobby. But I had an older gentleman came up to me after, I think it was the last service. And he said, Pastor, I just really appreciated what you shared so much. He said, you challenged me. If this is why the resurrection is real, what are you going to do about it? And he said, and the whole time I've been struggling, thinking I've been serving Jesus for 40 years and I haven't done enough. And so he was like, my wife and I, we found our church home, and he just told me how much he loved it. And then apparently had the exact same conversation with Sean, and it so moved Sean that Sean brought it up in staff meeting.
Wow.
So
powerful.
Really amazing. We had one story like that after another, and just very encouraged by everything that happened. And I'm super proud of our team. And I really want to hear how the launch of our Seattle campus went, Tony.
Went great. Thanks for asking, PB. It went great. It went as smooth as I think a service can go. We had no hiccups. It felt like, the analogy I keep using is like we had our wedding day, but now we need to learn how to be married.
Oh.
Yeah, so
it's
exciting.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, now we got to learn how to be married. So this Sunday is the real test, 4 p.m. We'll see how many people show up, what things we need to work out. And yeah, so I'm really excited. It went great. Tons of just community following the service. Yesterday is the first time ever in the history of me being a pastor on staff. I sent out assimilation emails, and I got a handful of responses saying we're going to come back next Sunday, which was cool.
So for those of you listening, we have an app that we use for our staff to communicate called Slack. I know that many businesses use it too. We have multiple Slack channels at Venture. And on Monday, I looked at the Slack channel, expecting to see all of these, yay for Easter, yay for Jesus. And at the bottom of it was, Tony has left the Mill Creek Slack channel.
But I'm on the all campus Slack channel and the everyone channel and the goof channel and the venture needs channel.
Yeah, but I felt like you were going to ease your way out of our lives.
I'm still here. I'm with you right now.
Okay, that is true.
This is true.
All right, let's follow up on our bet. Everybody in America wants to know. We set a bet on the Mariners.
We did.
Over under of 92.
92. We have the most strikeouts we've ever had.
You picked the over.
I picked the over.
I picked the under.
Yes.
And we were going to firm up what the bet was today.
Yes.
And I have reached out to your better half. And I asked Ariel, here's the bet that I'm suggesting. That we make a bet on our facial hair that I will shave, including buzz cut my head, if the Mariners win over 92 games.
Keep feeling like you want to do
period
that.
of time.
Okay.
And if the Mariners don't hit the over and Tony loses, he is not allowed to shave for 2 months. But I won't do this if you don't want him to. And she said, I don't care. I think that would be funny. Boom. Witnesses. Got a witness? Got a witness?
I just feel like you want to shave your head anyways.
Not a chance.
You have a nice shaped head.
Hey, when you have hair, especially when you're in your 50s,
I know,
you want to
you gotta,
show it off to the world. I
really
have hair.
You really do.
I don't want to shave. I'm willing to say I'm going to shave my head. I'm so positive they're not going to win over 92 games.
So you would also shave your face for 2 months?
I will be like a clean-shaven.
You look like you're going in the military or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last time I shaved my face, my wife actually encouraged me to grow my facial hair back.
So for 2 months, I'd have to grow out a beard fully.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Okay. There it is.
Let's firm this thing up. Witnesses?
Does that mean November and December, like around the holidays, I'd have a beard?
Oh, you're going to look so good.
No, it'd start October. Well, I mean, no, it wouldn't start October because we're going to win and we're going to make it into the postseason. What was that, David? Movember?
No shade November. Don't you always do that?
No, I don't participate in those pagan holidays. Okay.
Raiders roll.
I don't know why, Judah, that has anything to do with anything.
Because we don't have the Tony is the voice of reason.
Yeah, it's better than the AI. Can you play it again? A lot of people said they didn't hear it. I'll be quiet. Can we hear that again, please?
Make Jesus famous.
Okay, one more time, Judah.
Make Jesus famous.
That's Claire.
Is it really?
That's AI Claire.
I know this is going to be totally boring for those listening. Will you play one more time? Because I want to see if that is Claire.
Make Jesus famous.
No way.
That's Claire. That's Claire. You want to make a bet? I don't know. I want to make a bet.
Claire has more of like a smoker voice.
Make Jesus famous. She's like Marge's sisters. People have been asking about your VIP bracelet. What's the situation here?
Morgan and I went to the Mariners game, and we were given these VIP bracelets because we were in the All-Star Club, and we looked at each other and said, let's not take them off. So we both sported them in staff meeting today. And whenever anybody asked, we said we went out clubbing last night.
That is the most bro thing you and him have ever done.
Yeah, we hugged a lot too and got matching tattoos. And
can we get the camera on our special guest? Just her reaction right now. Sean King said there was nothing to fact check. He just listened to the episode with Joshua Talent. He said nothing to contest.
All right, that's what I like to hear. Should we get to the topic at hand?
We do. Last week, you made a very large announcement. You made the announcement that you would be making a large announcement on this week's episode. So today's the large announcement. Here we go.
Yes. Di and I are going on our sabbatical.
Come on.
Starting in May.
And we have in person with us today Diabeals, everyone. Come on, Judah. Thank you.
Do you want to welcome all your fans?
Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for having me. I don't feel like I'm going to say a lot today, but I'm here.
We want to take some time today to explain why is it's important for pastors to take sabbaticals. And then we're going to specifically talk about this sabbatical, what the plans are for venture. Tony's got a number of questions he's going to ask, but I want to explain why pastors take sabbaticals. Obviously, I would say in the last 10 years, this has become more of a normal practice for pastors. You've probably seen on social media, many of the pastors that you follow over the last several years have gone on sabbaticals. But Tom Rainier, who is an incredible blogger, podcaster, writer about all things that has to do with church and ministry, pretty much wrote the foremost article on why it's important for churches to allow pastors to consistently take a sabbatical. And he actually, first he defines a sabbatical as, in simple terms, he says, it simply means time off for rest and to study. That pastors need time off where they get a disconnect from the everyday part of their job and just focus on their own spiritual life, their marriage, their kids, their hobbies, maybe some schooling and different things like that. And he shares really why he believes are the 5 major reasons that pastors should take sabbaticals. Number 1, and again, this is Tom Rainer, this is not my stuff. So number 1, he said, a pastor has emotional highs and lows, unlike most any other vocation. How do you feel about that? Do you agree with that? That's how I'll include you. I'll say what he said and I'll get your opinion.
Good. Yes, I agree with that. I think that I know people in the medical profession, particularly in emergency rooms, that would probably relate a little bit, or those who are clergy at large, clergy in the hospital. But other than that, yes, I think we are there when people are going through their most difficult times, and it's taxing.
What can happen in any given, not even week or month, any given day, is you can have extraordinarily good news and at the same time, incredibly bad news.
Yeah, for sure.
So we finished Easter and had record attendance and everything went well. And at the same time, we've had several conversations with people that are moving. Mm-hmm. And whenever anybody moves out of state, we love these people. We're sad they're moving. You have other people that are like, my kids aren't feeling connected or my spouse isn't feeling connected. And so they're transitioning from the church. At the same time, you're celebrating people that are having the birth of their first child. And then you're also mourning with people that just got a terminal cancer diagnosis. And this is our life. This is a day in our life. And then at the same time, we're managing all the pastoral staff and all the ministry aspects of being an effective shepherd to people in the church and being an effective evangelist to people in the community. Oh yeah, then we gotta shift and deal with budgets and facilities and facility expansions. And, in the staff meeting, for example, that we just had, we talked through our 20th birthday, this sabbatical. We talked about how amazing Easter was. But then in addition to that, we also talked about, we just submitted our permit to the city of Mill Creek for the expansion of our facility. So all of these things. So pastors wear a unique number of hats, and with that causes lots of emotional highs and lows. Why don't you, Tony, just talk about the highs and lows of emotions that you've dealt with even in the last week launching the Seattle campus?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I think you guys already nailed it. I don't know how much more I can add to that, but there's a lot also I've discovered that I'm just not naturally skilled at, that I have to learn to do. There are just things you have to figure out how to do and whatnot. So that's kind of been part of church planting, is I feel like as a campus pastor, in the beginning you wear a lot of hats because you are the paid person at your church. But yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. In one day, we can have the birth of a child, and the diagnosis of someone with a terrible report, and learn how and figure out budgets and finances and staff. And on top of all that, people call us in times of need and crisis, and you want to be available as much as you can. And so I think you nailed it. We have highs and we have lows.
It seems like the timeliness of this conversation too is Easter is one of probably the two biggest days of the year for people who work in a church. And so we do a lot of that has to wait until after Easter conversation, but it is after Easter now. So this week is all the people's needs, surgeries, and all those major diagnoses that we didn't stop loving in the preparation for Easter, but now we really got to give care and attention to. And those things, there were people who lost loved ones in the past few months, and this was the first big holiday without their loved one that I was texting even yesterday saying, hey, I'm thinking about you. How are you doing? So yeah, for sure. There's a lot of, when you care for a lot of people, you care for a lot of needs and hard things.
Yeah.
Jesus talks about the heart of a pastor is willing to leave the 99 and chase after the one. I think a really great current analogy of that for pastors in America is you can have 99 people say, we love your church, we're going to start coming to your church, but then you have that one person that says, we're not feeling connected, we're upset, we're leaving. And it's just human nature to, instead of only celebrating the 99, you feel the need to chase after the one. And so whenever, it's the ups and downs constantly that you deal with. He sums it up by saying, in the course of a day, a pastor can deal with death, deep spiritual issues, great encouragement, petty criticisms, tragedies, illnesses, and celebrations of birth. The emotional roller coaster is draining. And then he concludes it by saying, your pastor needs a break, many times a break with no distractions. So that's number one. His second reason that pastors need sabbaticals is the reality that a pastor is on call 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I was literally just going to say that, but I glanced at your notes and saw that was coming next.
Yeah.
I think we don't want to create, this is not about a pity party. I love what I do. I love caring for people and carrying the burden with people. But today is a Wednesday, just so happens. And Wednesdays for me are 8:30 a.m. until 10 p.m. And I don't even take a food break usually in there. I mean, I eat, but I don't actually take a break. And that's just because I've stacked my Wednesdays to try and maximize the amount of people that I want to invest into. And that takes its toll for sure.
And I always tell everyone that ministry is not a normal job because it is a lifestyle job. That a lot of people, they work, and a lot of people don't work 9-to-5 jobs, but we have the one job that never really ends. And people, when they're dealing with issues and they have challenges, those things don't happen between 9 to 5. They happen on Friday nights and Saturday mornings and late in the evenings. And so as a minister, it's a calling. You accept it. And part of accepting that is the fact that you have to be available to people when they need you. And we embrace that. I mean, it's the joy of our life to be called to be ministers, but it is the reason why you shouldn't do ministry if you're not called to do it.
You have to be called. If you're not called, you shouldn't do this. This would be a terrible occupation to do if you're not called. Yeah.
I just want to add in there one thing too. I don't think we want anyone who's listening to think, oh, they're so busy, we shouldn't invite them to things, because I love to be part of people's lives. It might mean that it for sure means I can't say yes to everything, but I love being a part of people's lives. Yeah. I think we're at a season especially where we don't have kids in the house, so we have discretionary time.
Yeah, I agree with Di. We would rather be invited and given the opportunity to decline than not be invited, because people just assumed we were going to decline. And oftentimes, especially now that our kids are out of the house, they're surprised at the things Di and I are saying yes to. And again, I'm just reading what his points are, and they're true. They're true. They are the joy of our life, and we enjoy our hours and things like that. So I guess I don't want us to qualify everything he says. I want to kind of get through this, but he does talk about, when he talks about the 24-hour calls, he talks about how it's even difficult for pastors to take vacations. So I accepted a long time ago as soon as Di and I launched Venture, I went on my very first vacation, and we were hiking up a mountain. I remember being at the top of the mountain, my phone blew up, and I ended up sitting on the mountain dealing with crises about the church, like sitting on top of a mountain thinking, I can't even go on a vacation anymore. And then the Holy Spirit, like I would say over the last 20 years of leading Venture, we just accept that this is just part of the job, that I'm going to be on vacation, but if my staff needs me, I need to be available. If my board needs me, I need to be available. And rather than be bitter and upset about that, I just accept that I love these people. We're family, and I want to be available to my family. And my job, as taxing as it is, provides some unique flexibilities that other jobs don't have, which means that sometimes I'm on a cruise and I need to wait till I get internet access so that I can do something. And
I will say though, I feel like our staff, the current team we have, does a really good job at honoring each other when they are on vacation.
Yes.
Like unless I absolutely need to reach out to you, they do a really good job at respecting those boundaries. Honestly, if you're on vacation, you need to rest. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's really good with, if there is a question that we need answered, we'll send each other a quick text that explains clearly what we needed to know. So oftentimes, like when pastors are away and they get a text or a phone call that says, call me, or they see somebody call, but they didn't leave a voicemail message, our natural gut response, I guess I would call it our Pavlovian response, is anxiousness and panic. Oh no, something went wrong.
It's your response.
And so our staff is
That's
very
not my response.
respectful. That is true. I tend to worry about everything. All right, so pastor is on call 24 hours. That's his second point. His third point is there are times pastors need uninterrupted study time. They just need time to study.
Oh, you're pitching that to me?
Every time you get a follow-up.
Yes. We definitely, the ability to be able to separate I'll speak for myself, separate myself from the never-ending to-do list, because there's always something coming, and just focus on reading a book from one cover to the other without juggling 6 other books, which honestly I pretty much am always doing. But that, or even reading a book that is just for fun or is about a hobby, that's like a luxury. So yeah, that study, I'll use it broadly and say, I like to learn about just lots of variety of things. I read books about cooking techniques, and I want to learn. So
the board has done an extraordinary job with me over the years, where when it comes to this, is they allow me to have a prayer retreat in January around my birthday every year that the church pays for. They pay for me to go away, and my job on that prayer retreat is to come up with the sermon calendar for the next year of the church. And that is helpful for all of our campuses. It's helpful for the staff because they'll know a year ahead of time, here's what we're teaching on. And it's down to the minutia of who is preaching on what Sunday and what is the text they're preaching from. And so to do that, I have to be uninterrupted for like 3 straight days to be able to write and pray and consider. And then they allow me to do another prayer retreat, usually in August. And that one is focused on setting goals for the church. We call it when we present our BHAGs. So when you see that big goal card that we give out in January, we as a staff have already started working on that every August, which is why our theme for 2024, I Found God in Seattle, we decided on that in August and kind of began to introduce it in August. And so it is really important to have those moments where you can get away, just be uninterrupted. And I think you want to be in a place where you feel close to God. And I think for different pastors or different people, and I encourage everyone, I think human beings, every human should have prayer retreats. You need to go to a place where you feel close to God and where you feel like you hear Jesus better. And for some people, it's hiking up to the top of a mountain and pitching a tent. And For some people, it's wandering around Disneyland, and for other people, it's being on a beach and, whatever, maybe being on a boat, fishing, wherever you feel close to Jesus. I think you should do that. So his last 2 points, I think, are the ones that are smarter for a church to consider even. I mean, all of them are important, but his 4th point is pastors who have sabbaticals have longer tenures at their churches. Our board, probably about 6 years ago, started a sabbatical policy, maybe it's 7 years ago, that every 7 years, every pastor on our staff that reaches a 7-year point gets a sabbatical. I'll just kind of start with Tony. Tony, how motivating is that to you? Because you last year had your sabbatical.
It was incredible. Yeah, I mean, I think it honors the commitment of the staff member and honors their tenure and gives them a moment to rest and pause as well. And I will just say this. I went into my sabbatical not tired, but realizing I'd taken inventory of my life and there were a lot of things that I really needed to recalibrate. I came out of sabbatical with a newfound love for my kids, a renewed passion for my wife. I discovered what I was going to do with ministry because we had this big looming question mark over our heads. I found a passion for reading. I had hated reading leading up to it. I did a lot of studying and reading during my sabbatical. So I came out a much better leader, and here I am still here because I was able to take time and pause and rest. And yeah.
So I was thinking back as I was prepping for this podcast that last year we had 6 staff members that went on sabbatical, and we're going to explain the process and the why in a little bit when we
have some questions
talk about
for you.
mine and Di's. Yeah. Every one of the staff members that went on sabbatical came back more rejuvenated, more fired up, and they're still here in the church serving faithfully. So it really does encourage tenure. Di and I, again, are going on our sabbatical starting in May. And this was not a part of our deciding factor whatsoever, but we discovered that 7 of our friends, 7 sets of couples that we are really close friends with that are senior pastors of larger churches, are all going on sabbatical around the same time as us. Now, not one of us had talked to each other, and I'm not going to say who these people are because I don't know if they've announced it to their churches yet officially, but I thought that seemed very appropriate. It seems like churches have navigated through COVID. They have the churches are all doing really well again, and now is the time for these pastors that have served very faithfully to take their break. Here is his 5th reason. And his 5th reason that pastors should take sabbaticals is pastors who have sabbaticals view the time off as an affirmation from their churches. And Tony really hit on that. The fact that the church sees that they love you enough that they don't want you to burn out, that they want you to do it. And you're going to hear a little bit about why we decided now in a moment when Tony starts interviewing me here. But it really does. This sabbatical for Di and I, we feel the love.
Yes. That was such an odd pitch to me.
Well, I just wanted you to say something sweet. Yeah, yes, we do.
For sure.
Was that a good interpretation of Di's voice?
You haven't really navigated your way
I am
into this
staying away
topic.
out of anything. I'm just here to moderate.
I mean, I will say in past experience of you and I have taken a month off here and there over the past 10 years or so, usually in the summer, so a lot of people don't even notice. But I definitely will say is good for my soul. I feel deeply rested, and anyone who knows me is shaking their head because they're picturing rest, and that's not me. But that's exactly what I mean. Like I get to go outside and climb mountains and be out in nature, and that brings health to my soul. So the affirmation we've received over the years from the people of Venture just encourages us that that is good for our soul, which means it's good for our church too.
And I would add a sixth one, and then we'll pass the baton to Tony to ask us some questions here. But it really, Di and I being gone for a 3-month period of time, it allows our other leaders to step up.
Yeah.
It allows other people to refine their preaching, their leadership. It's also going to ask some volunteers that have been waiting for their moment to step up. And when we come back, we're anticipating that the church has continued to grow, but at the same time, we have leaders that have stepped kind of into a greater level of influence and leadership in the church because mom and dad are gone for a little bit. And when mom and dad are gone, and I would even say that our staff, especially the executive team, they have been they don't want to have to bother Di and I when we're gone. They want to make sure that, hey, we got everything covered. I mean, I have already been told, I'm shutting off your email. We're taking you off of Slack. And I mean, they do not want me to have to get sucked back into anything. And so, it's going to really allow them to step up. Tony's going to ask some church-specific questions, and we'll have a dialogue here about this sabbatical. So that's why pastors should take sabbaticals. So here is about the sabbatical that Di and I are taking.
Well, before can I ask you one question? Am I allowed to invite you guys to comedy shows if you're in town?
Yes.
I'll ask as a friend, not as a...
We still live here.
And we're still
have
friends and family with all of you people.
Yeah.
So
we're not avoiding all humans.
Well, you actually kind of already answered my first question as I was going to ask, when is your sabbatical? You want to re-clarify? You said you start in May.
Yeah, technically our sabbatical is supposed to start May 1, but Di and I are so excited that Marty Solomon is here that we're refusing to leave May 1. So I am done the Saturday after the men's breakfast. So I'll go to the men's breakfast, record a podcast with Marty, and then I'm out. And I think Di's a little bit later.
Yeah, I get the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with Marty Saturday evening, which I will do.
Fun.
Yeah.
So of all the months, why now? Why May, June, July?
So what ended up happening in the calendar was 2 years ago, the board met and they viewed every pastor on our staff that qualified for a sabbatical, and they saw that there was 8 of us. And so they set out a 2-year timeline for sabbaticals. And the plan was that we would allow all the associate staff and all the campus pastors to take their sabbaticals in 2023 with the anticipation that we'd navigate through theirs and that mine and Di's would be 2024. And they did that because they wanted there to, and we had everybody, by the way, take their sabbatical at the same time. So everybody took their sabbatical last summer. We got it all done at the same time. And that was to honor the staff. And then it made it so that the entire staff was here, revived, ready to go so that Di and I could take our sabbatical in 2024. And we really had 2 different options for it. We had considered kind of this May, June, July period, and we had considered the fall. And ultimately, we chose May, June, July because we didn't want to be gone for the fall. We love the fall. It's super exciting and fun. But really, May, June, and July boiled down to we had an Israel trip that we were leading, plus we had a Convoy of Hope trip. And we thought we already have these 2 trips to Europe and Asia. And so we thought, why don't we kind of have our sabbatical be over there? We're already there. We'll stay over there and things like that. So that is what led to the May, June, July. Another caveat that I would say with it was we weren't positive we were going to take our sabbatical after all. In fact, Di and I had gone away on our prayer retreat in January, and we'd kind of come back and said, I don't know if we want to take our sabbatical now. Maybe we want to.
It's too fun. Venture's so fun right now. I don't want to miss anything.
And that is the big deal that we want to emphasize, that we are not tired. We are not worn out. We aren't stressed out. We are loving life and loving our job, and we love the rhythm of our job. And at the same time, we knew that we had taken some big steps with staff, and part of this was for our sabbatical, that we knew for me to effectively leave on a sabbatical, I needed a staff person that could work with our campuses because we had the central campus dialed in, but I needed to have someone that could still work alongside the campus pastors. And that is why we hired Christian. So that was part of the strategic hire. We knew that we had that missing on our team, but hiring a Christian kind of made our budget as, I would say our budget this year was the most faith-filled budget we ever had. So when we went into 2024, we kind of knew what it looked like. And our CFO, Alex, and I had met after Di and I had thought maybe we don't need to do our sabbatical this year.
Or maybe it would just be 5 weeks or 6 weeks.
Yeah, we had wrestled through all of this. And so Alex and I went to our first board meeting of the year, and we had actually pitched to the board that I hold off and take my sabbatical in January, of the next year, 2025. And part of it was, if the finances weren't where they needed to be with the church and there wasn't momentum, et cetera, et cetera. But the board shot it down. I honor the board members. They are like, this is not an option. We want you to do this. We want you to do this while you have energy, while you're encouraged. We don't want to wait till you're burnt out. You and I do not have an option. You are taking your sabbatical in May. It is going to be 3 months. This is off the table. And even Alex is like, are you sure we don't want to talk about this? Now, fast forward 3 months later, the board was right. We've had the best first 3 months in the history of the church. You guys have been so generous in your giving. We're ahead of this highly faith-filled budget. We're $100,000 ahead of that after the first 3 months. So why now? Because the board set it up 2 years ago that Di and I are going now. And even though Israel is canceled, we're still going to Europe.
It's not canceled. It's postponed 1 year.
Yes, that's true.
Let me know if you'd like to go. And also, Easter was early this year. So that gives us the opportunity to take the month of April and set everything up for our absence.
Yep.
So you guys already kind of alluded to it, but what happens for the church while you're gone? I mean, you already said kind of, your staff have opportunities to step up and lead a little more. What happens to the church overall, though, while you guys are gone?
Really, for the average person in the church, nothing will change. I mean, all of our ministries still function exactly the same. You just won't see Di and I for a few months. And a lot of people in our church, you're traveling a lot during the summer and things like that. But there'll still be a big Mother's Day service, still be a big Father's Day service. There's
a couple revival services.
There's revival nights going on. So the real question is, what happens with the teaching on Sundays? And so it's a total of 13 Sundays that we will miss. We have 3 phenomenal guest speakers that are coming in that you guys are going to love. And we actually have a 4th that's doing a revival night in May, Jeremy Johnson, that you'll hear. Morgan Butcher's preaching 3 times, Christian's preaching twice. I'm actually going to be on video speaking twice during this period of time to kind of stay connected so that guests, when they come, they're thinking, oh, there's the pastor and his wife. There they are. And then Nicole's speaking once, Sean King is speaking once, and Johnny's preaching once. So every one of our pastoral staff, they're just killer speakers. You're going to love it, and it's going to give them an opportunity. And then I'm back. Di's back.
Mom and dad are home.
Start preaching beginning August.
Raiders roll.
So a lot of people tend to have worry or concern when their pastors are gone on sabbatical. Typically, my friends who have gone on sabbatical, that's in all truth, a lot of the time they've gone interviewed at other churches. That's
Yeah, they've gone and never come back.
And then they came back for a week and announced to the church they're leaving, and people be like, "Wow, you just got paid to go interview for a month." It happened to a couple of my buddies, and I guess maybe my question is, can you guys address common worries maybe people would have if like pastors on sabbatical? Because you guys already alluded to it. You're not tired. You're not burnt out. But typically, pastors are pretty burnt out by the time they get to sabbatical, or they need to go through some deep, 5-week therapy thing or something like that. What do you think are common worries people might have? / has anyone expressed worries to you guys?
Nobody's expressed worries to me. I don't know if they have to either of you.
Well, the circle has been very small.
Yeah, we
that
haven't
knew
really-
we were considering this.
Maybe now we'll get them. Let's head them
I'm
off
worried-
in the
No, the
past.
board said I didn't have an option in my head. I hadn't completely accepted we were doing it, but
Yeah, I think, I mean, all people have to go on is our word. We have no interest in going anywhere else. And honestly, we have booked out our time off already with so many fun things we're going to do. Let's put it this way. It'd be like booking a trip to Hawaii, but then also booking 4 timeshare presentations. I don't want to take my 3 months off and book in timeshare presentations where another church pitches me something. My heart is here. Our hearts are here. We love what God is doing at Venture. We'll just come back with that much more energy.
And Tony is right. I mean, lots of times pastors go on sabbatical. They're burnt out. They're utilizing that. I mean, this is what we want to do. We love Venture. We love our church. Yeah.
I mean, even when I was on sabbatical last year, 2 churches had reached out to us knowing that I was on sabbatical. So it was like maybe he's tired. Maybe this is the time we can pounce.
Well, and that's the other worry is that we're burnt out. So we need a break. And that's part of the reason that I want to emphasize that the board started this plan 2 years ago. Now, to say I'm not tired is an understatement. Like if I mean, that's one of the reasons that we're kind of intrigued by being away is this is the first time that we've had an extended period of time off where I'm not working on a doctorate. She's not working on her master's and we have tons of energy. So I don't know what it's going to be like.
Di, you said you guys are doing a lot. What are you guys doing for fun?
Doing a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I have a yearly hiking trip planned with a couple of friends. So that is already booked, ready to go in May. And that is a road trip to Utah to hike through some of the national parks.
And while that's going on, David Diaz and I will be going crabbing a lot on my boat.
Right. And that's the thing is we have things that we'll do around here too. I'm itching to get outside and go do things. We have a trip to Boston planned to go to Fenway Park and watch some baseball games. We're tossing around maybe even going to Chicago to watch a couple games.
At Wrigley.
Yeah, we love baseball. We'll go to Mariners games. That's already something we do. What else do we have?
Disneyland.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go to Disneyland for a couple of days.
A bunch of concerts.
I keep getting this picture of PB with the Mickey Mouse T-shirt, the Mickey Mouse pretzel, the
Totally.
ears.
He would totally do that.
He has the ears.
It would be me that would.
I will post Mickey Mouse ears. No, I just found out that a bunch of the young married wives in our church are all at Disneyland at the same time. And so Dinah are fully planning on hanging out with them the whole time.
Yeah, they asked if I wanted to partake in their dress theme.
Oh, they're getting me a T-shirt.
No, thank you.
I'm going to wear it.
I'll just see you there.
Now, in addition to that, I have a lot of friends that have been asking me to speak at their churches, and I just haven't had any open Sundays. I only will guest speak at a church 4 times during a year, and most of those are every year I speak for Jared, every year I speak for Virgil, and so I have some friends that have asked me to speak. So I've got 4 speaking engagements. I'm doing 2 weddings. Want to read a bunch of books.
And then we have a big trip planned. So we were planning because we were going to be in Israel. We were taking our kids to Israel, which now is moved a year. So we are still taking our kids to Israel next year. But we decided that we had plane tickets already purchased, so we just diverted those plane tickets. So we're going to hop around Europe for a few weeks before heading to we'll end our time in July on the Convoy of Hope trip in Europe. So
yeah, we're flying to Iceland because, believe it or not, Seattle to Iceland is a pretty cheap flight.
It really is.
Then we're doing, I forgot what it's already called because I booked all this out a while ago. It's where you drive in a circle around the entire island. So we have hotels booked and we're doing that. Then we fly to Ireland, hang out with our family, and then we go to Zurich to hang out with our family. And
yeah, my bucket list dream trip since I can remember being a little girl has been to go to the Alps, to be in Switzerland, to go to the Alps. And in my head is this very idyllic scene of cows with bells around their necks and women carrying grain. I don't know why. And cobblestone streets or something. With the big pointy mountains. I cannot wait to go in the mountains. So our whole family is meeting us for Ireland and Switzerland.
And then our entire sabbatical ends on this Convoy of Hope trip in Europe that we tend to do every year. And so it'll be all 8 of these pastors of large churches in the Northwest, where all the pastors are on sabbatical. We're all on this trip together.
Well, that'd be fun.
It really will be.
Yeah.
So we found that's kind of how we found out everybody was on sabbatical. They're like, I'm actually on sabbatical. Not only am I going, and so we've all agreed to not talk church while we're there. Though there's one of them that I think is really going to struggle with that.
Except by then,
We'll be ready to go back to work.
Yeah, we're going to be so anxious to go back. We're going to be talking about exciting things coming up. So it's going to happen.
Yeah, I guess to sum it all up, we're really excited about it. And there's a lot of things that we don't have planned out yet. And it's just kind of fun that we have some discretion to do that. One of our interns is going to stay at our house and kind of live with us for those 3 months and watch our dogs so that we can take off now and then and be gone. I do want to share just a couple basics for the church that, and these are things that we have been requested by the board to do or not do. And one of them is we won't be responding to email. That if somebody sends Dyra an email, our assistants are going to look through the email and then they will, ones that are urgent, they will get to us. So that will happen. I won't be posting, Di won't be posting at all on our Facebook because our Facebook's primarily there for church interaction. We don't use it personally. Our main social media that I will use will be my @Beals Adventure. So our family has when our family travels Instagram account that we don't use very often, just mostly when we travel. But that'll be the primary one that I'll use. I won't be posting as often on my @FightPastor account. I'll do it kind of more, maybe once or twice a week, but it's more to accommodate people that sponsor me and things like that. But I want to say that we are going to be really kind of disconnected and offline for that time. But if you are curious what we're doing, follow us on @Beals Adventure.
You know how I know you guys are thinking of me when you're gone? Not because you text me or call me.
And buys you something.
No, because I
ridiculous.
randomly tag you in every
Tags
picture.
me in the most random. It's like, oh, here's like
A statue in the background.
here's a horse in the background. It's Tony. So here, we got to wrap up our time. Number one, we're gonna miss you guys, but we're really excited for you guys too. And I don't know how many pastors in America are blessed to say, I don't want to leave my church because I'm having a lot of fun right now. So it's really cool that we're in a place that you guys get to leave and have
Now, again, not leaving, taking a sabbatical.
taking a break, taking a sabbatical. All right, here's the big looming question everyone has.
Here it comes.
I know we've been getting blown up with this question already. Zeb Seabrook's probably wondering already too. What happens to the podcast for 3 months while you're gone?
I know.
3 months.
3 months. I'm going to entrust it to you.
Did you guys hear that? No button for that, Judah? Seriously?
Raiders roll.
No cheering.
Yeah, no
How
cheering.
about Judah and I will make a couple buttons that is my voice saying something. So you can throw out that hear me echoing
so
in your
creepy.
ear. No, David Diaz is going to be the co-host of the podcast. We have a number of incredible guests. It's one of the benefits of having all these guest speakers. So there's, again, 4 guests that we have. So you know that 4 of the podcast will be these guests.
Yeah.
All kinds of shenanigans. I will promise you, Tony, I will be listening to the podcast, Juan.
Oh, I know. And listen, David and I, we are a hoot. But when we're time to be game ready, we're game ready, right?
Well, I just want to see if after 3 months we really do get canceled.
We've been already planning. We're not going to get canceled.
Maybe you should have a bet with an over-under of new followers or...
Oh my! Hey, if I get back and you have our YouTube followership over 100, Oh, that's all. And maybe our
Will you take
Instagram handle.
Okay, will you take us
over-
out to Rare Society?
Yes. Rare.
Fogo de Chao.
Here it is. Here's the Fogo de Chao Rare Society. You guys get a pick.
Fogo de Chao is a cash register.
We're gonna blow this thing up.
If the first week I'm back in August, you have over 100 followers on YouTube. That one I don't think will be tough. Let's bump it to 150 followers on YouTube. 150 on YouTube.
Easy. We have 150
And you get
cousins.
our podcast Instagram handle over 250.
What's it at right now?
Oh, never mind. 500.
Whoa.
500 there.
Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa.
I will take all 4 of you to Rare Society.
There it is.
Rare Society is so much better. Fogo de Chao is direct competition to P.F. Chang's. You can't do that to Judah. We're going to Rare Society. We're all going to go eat steaks. And for you vegetarians, you can have a nice salad.
All go out on the boat.
And then afterwards, we'll go on the
crabbing.
boat, go
and
crabbing.
We'll cook the crab that night.
And
We'll
we
have crab
will
boil.
relive the moment where Tony tried to get into an inner tube and fell off. We'll relive that moment. So
during
we will do that.
COVID.
Incense
Hey.
burning in here? What is that?
David lit a
Oh,
candle.
David lit a candle. It did smelled like the place is on fire.
Demonic because it says
I
wicked
do want
on
to
it.
read one. I want to just sum up our discussion on the sabbatical by just telling you kind of what my heart is when I think about the church. And Philippians 1:3, this is Paul thinking about the church in Philippi, and this is what Di and I think when we brag about Venture and we think of our staff and the people. And Paul said this, verse 3, he said, I thank my God every time I remember you. In all my prayers for all of you, I always pray with joy because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. When we get back in August, we really start focusing on our 20th year in existence, and we gear up for our 20th birthday service in November. And so there's going to be a lot of things that's going to happen between even now, April, until then. But looking back on 20 years, this has been a journey and we are pumped about it. Want to remind you, next week, we do have another podcast. We have our intern director,
Come on.
Claire Razor, is with us with 2 of our interns. They're going to talk about their experience serving in the Venture internship. And some of you might have kids or you might be listeners and you're considering an internship, and you'll hear from the perspective of all of them how it's going. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. I'm gonna miss you guys. But
You
I'll invite
still
you.
have me for 3 weeks.
I know, but I'll invite you to comedy shows and we'll hang out. I was gonna say, hey, don't worry. Church is in good hands. Between David and I, everything's gonna be okay.
Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing.
We are,
It's going to be all right.
man. We'll tell you off air what's the name of our ministry that we started a couple years ago.
You and David?
Yeah, our traveling ministry.
Why off the
Fort
air?
Fogo de Chao.
No, because if I say the word, people are gonna be like, oh, "That's a bad word. You shouldn't say that on air."
Okay.
So my full name is Anthony. His full name is David. So we have this traveling ministry where I preach and he does worship. We haven't been booked for anything yet. I don't know why. Should I say it, or are we gonna get canceled? I don't want to get canceled.
I don't want to end this on a negative note. Come back next week to hear Tony tell you the name of his traveling ministry with David.
Be in Palm Springs next week.
Judah, hit it.
See you guys.
Raiders roll.